The first time I heard the word unfit spoken inside the Marlowe mansion, it didn't come from a stranger. It came from a man in a tailored suit who had been shaking Ethan Marlowe's hand for years, smiling for cameras, praising philanthropy, until the day grief made Ethan inconvenient. The man's voice was polite, almost tender, the way people speak when they're about to take something that isn't theirs. "Mr. Marlowe," he said, "this is a standard stability review. The trust has to ensure the children's environment remains optimal." And Ethan, self-made billionaire, builder of empires, the man who could buy whole city blocks, went completely still, like the marble statues in the mansion's foyer had suddenly learned how to breathe, because he understood what was really being said. "We can decide if you get to keep your sons." I'm Carlos Vieira, a journalist who has spent years telling stories about people with more money than time, more influence than peace. But on that day, stepping into the Marlowe mansion, I wasn't chasing a headline. I was chasing a question I couldn't let go of. What happens when the world stops seeing your heart and starts seeing only your paperwork? The mansion sat behind iron gates and cypress trees, like a secret that refused to be ordinary. The driveway curved through a garden that looked carefully loved. Rose bushes clipped into patient shapes, stone paths swept clean, fountains that whispered even in winter. The air carried the faint scent of wet earth and something sweeter beneath it, like a memory clinging to the present. When the front doors opened, warmth rolled out. Wood polish, vanilla, and the soft, haunting perfume that still belonged to Elena Marlowe. Inside, the house felt alive in the way old places do. The grand foyer rose into a chandelier that scattered light like quiet applause. A long corridor stretched toward the twins' wing, lined with framed photographs and muted paintings, and somewhere deeper in the mansion, a piano note sounded. One single key pressed and released, like a sigh that didn't know how to become words. Ethan Marlowe appeared at the top of the staircase, descending with the careful pace of a man who had learned that rushing didn't bring anyone back. He was tall, broad-shouldered, still handsome in a tired way, wearing a dark sweater that made him look less like a billionaire and more like someone who might be standing outside a hospital room at midnight. In his hand, he held a mug he didn't drink from. His gaze kept flicking toward the hallway that led to the twins, as if his eyes were magnets that couldn't stop returning to their north. "Elena loved this house," he said, when we were seated in the library. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, a fireplace that smelled faintly of cedar, leather chairs that creaked with history. The library window faced the garden, and I could see the rose bushes, pale in the morning light. "She said it wasn't a mansion. She said it was a promise." His voice caught on the last word. The silence that followed felt heavy, but it wasn't empty. It was full of everything he hadn't said. I recognized that kind of silence. It's the kind that sits down beside you like a stranger and refuses to leave. "What's the stability review?" I asked gently, even though I already knew. I wanted him to say it out loud, because sometimes naming the monster is the only way to keep it from growing. Ethan stared at the library's far wall, where a portrait of Elena hung above the mantel. She was painted in soft light, elegant and calm, as if she had never known pain. But I noticed something in the portrait's details, the way the artist had captured the faint shadow beneath her eyes, the kind that comes from nights spent awake beside children who need more than sleep. "The trust," Ethan said. "A council, lawyers, people who don't know my sons but know the value of their last name." His fingers tightened around the mug. "They say it's routine. They say it's for protection. But it's not about protection. It's about control." In me, as he spoke, I heard footsteps, quick, small, uneven in a way that wasn't clumsy so much as earnest. Then laughter burst into the doorway, bright and sudden. Lucas Marlowe appeared first, 9 years old, hair a little messy like he'd been hugged by a tornado, and survived. He moved with a kind of fearless joy, eyes wide, cheeks flushed, a grin that could make a room feel safer just by existing. "Dad," Lucas called, and his voice didn't ask permission to be loved. It assumed it. Ethan's face changed in an instant. The tension didn't vanish, but it softened like a knot loosening. He set the mug down and opened his arms. Lucas ran into them without hesitation, pressing his cheek against Ethan's chest like he was confirming something true. Then Noah stepped in. Noah was the quieter twin, the kind of child who seemed to look through the world instead of at it. He held a small sketchbook against his chest with both hands, as if it were a shield or a secret. His eyes flicked to me, then away. He didn't smile the way Lucas did, but his presence carried a steady weight, like a candle that refuses to go out even when the wind keeps trying. "Noah," Ethan said softly, "this is Carlos. He's telling our story." Noah didn't respond with words. He did something else. He opened his sketchbook, turned to a page, and held it up, only for a second, like a test. On the page was a symbol. 3 looping shapes, almost like petals, almost like infinity signs joined at the center. It was drawn with careful pressure, the pencil strokes dark in places where his hand had paused, as if he'd been thinking while drawing. I felt a strange chill, not from fear, but from recognition, like I'd seen this before without knowing where. Lucas noticed my reaction and bounced on the balls of his feet. "Noah draws that all the time," he said proudly. "It's our secret." "Is it?" I asked. Lucas nodded, serious now. "It means Mom is still here." Ethan's throat moved like he was swallowing something too large. He reached out and touched Noah's shoulder, gentle, reverent. Noah leaned slightly into the touch, barely a movement, but enough to show that he felt it. That was the first time I understood. In this house, love didn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it whispered through drawings, through routines, through the way a father's hand hovered near his child's back, like a promise he didn't trust himself to say out loud. A doorbell chimed in the distance, soft, musical, too polite for the moment. Ethan didn't move, his jaw tightened. "They're early," he said. "Who?" I asked, though I already knew. "The trust's lawyer," he replied. "Grant Holloway." Lucas's face fell, like the light in him had been dimmed by a shadow only he could see. Noah lowered his sketchbook and turned his eyes toward the hallway, toward the twins' wing, toward a place that felt safer than this library suddenly did. Ethan stood up, as if rising could make him taller than the threat. "Boys, go with Mrs. Rosa," he called, and an older woman appeared. Rosa, the housekeeper, her silver hair pulled back, her eyes kind but sharp. She guided the twins away with a hand that knew how to soothe without smothering. As they left, Lucas glanced back and said, too softly for someone as loud as him, "Dad, don't let them take our hallway." Ethan's breath hitched. He nodded, but he didn't answer. Because the truth was, money had never taught him how to protect something as fragile as a child's sense of belonging. Grant Holloway arrived with a folder that looked heavy enough to hold a life sentence. He was calm, professional, the kind of man who used words like protocol the way other people used prayer. "Mr. Marlowe," he said, "the council is requesting access to certain records, certain rooms, certain assets. It's a routine inventory." "Inventory," Ethan repeated, like the word tasted wrong. Grant's smile didn't reach his eyes. "It's not personal." Ethan leaned forward, and for a moment the billionaire mask slipped. "Everything about my children is personal." Grant opened the folder anyway. Pages rustled. The sound was quiet, but it felt like thunder in a house built on mourning. I watched Ethan's hands tremble just slightly as he signed something he didn't want to sign. I watched the portrait of Elena above the mantel, her painted eyes steady, as if she were witnessing this with a calm Ethan didn't have. Then I noticed something else. On the side table near the fireplace, inside a glass case, sat a piece of jewelry, An old ring, delicate, set with a pale stone. The stone caught the light and flashed like a trapped star. And engraved on the band, barely visible unless you were looking for it, was the same symbol Noah had drawn. 3 loops joined at the center. My pulse quickened. I didn't know why yet. I only knew that the house had just spoken in a language I was beginning to understand. And somewhere down the hall in the twins' wing, a soft, rhythmic sound drifted through the mansion. 3 gentle knocks, then silence, like a secret waiting to be answered. The ring glinted again, and I realized Elena hadn't left only memories behind. She'd left something hidden in plain sight. And whatever it was, the trust was about to step on it. I didn't meet Maya Caldwell in the grand foyer or the library or any of the rooms designed to impress. I met her in the kitchen, the warm heart of the mansion, where the air smelled like baked bread and lemon soap, where copper pans hung like trophies and sunlight spilled across a butcher block island like grace. She stood by the sink, sleeves rolled up, washing her hands as if she'd already decided this job mattered enough to be clean for. Her hair was pinned back in a practical twist, but a few strands had escaped and clung to her temples. She looked young, late 20s maybe, but her eyes carried the kind of exhaustion that usually takes decades to earn. Rosa introduced her quietly. "This is Maya. She's here for the children, for the twins' wing. Mr. Marlowe hired her yesterday." Ethan appeared behind us, and for a moment, something complicated crossed his face. Hope mixed with guilt, like he wasn't sure he deserved to ask anyone for help anymore. "Maya," he said, "thank you for coming on short notice." She nodded. "Thank you for hiring me." It wasn't the polite exchange that struck me, it was the way she said it. Like employment wasn't just a paycheck, it was a lifeline. Later, when I saw her in the twins' wing, I understood why. The twins' wing was a world of its own, a bright hallway painted in soft blues and warm creams, with framed drawings lining the walls like a gallery. One room was an art space, easels, bins of colored pencils, paper stacked neatly, sunlight pouring through tall windows. Another room was a playroom with a rug that looked like a map of stars, shelves of sensory toys, and a reading nook shaped like a small boat. The bedrooms were separate, personalized. Lucas's had stuffed animals arranged like an audience. Noah's had a calm order to it, everything placed with intention. Maya moved through these rooms like someone who understood that a house could be loud without sound. She spoke to the twins in a voice that didn't rush them. She didn't treat them like fragile glass or like eternal babies. She treated them like people. Lucas was the first to test her. He bounded up, grabbed her hand and said, "Do you know how to do the 3 knocks?" Maya blinked. "The 3 knocks?" Lucas grinned like he was offering her entry into a club. He tapped the doorframe. Tap, 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 then paused, dramatic. "Now you say the words." "What words?" she asked. "Noah knows," Lucas whispered, and then he spun away, laughing, as if the mystery itself delighted him. Noah stood a few feet back, sketchbook tucked under his arm. He watched Maya with a quiet, measured gaze, not suspicious, just assessing, like he was listening to her with his whole body the way some people listen to music. Maya crouched down so her eyes were level with his. "Hi, Noah," she said softly. "Lucas says you know the words." Noah didn't speak. He opened his sketchbook, flipped to a page and drew the symbol again, 3 loops, joined. Then, beneath it, he wrote a few careful letters. S-M-A-L-L, small. Maya's face softened. She looked around the hallway, the art on the walls, the way the sun fell on the carpet like a blessing. "Small," she repeated. Then, almost instinctively, she said, "God speaks in small places." Lucas froze mid-laugh. His eyes widened. "That's it!" he shouted, delighted. "That's the words!" Noah's shoulders lowered slightly, as if something in him unclenched. He tapped the sketchbook with one finger, then tapped Maya's hand. A quiet approval. That was the beginning of their ritual. 3 knocks on the doorframe, then Maya's whisper, "God speaks in small places," And then Noah would offer a drawing, a clue, a piece of his world. Lucas would celebrate it like fireworks. Noah would watch it like a candle. In the days that followed, Maya's presence began to change the mansion's rhythm. Ethan still moved, like a man carrying a weight too heavy. But there were moments when I saw him pause outside the twins' wing and simply listen to their laughter, letting it wash over him like medicine he didn't deserve. But outside that wing, the trust's shadow grew longer. Grant Holloway returned with more papers. The council requested keys. The council requested schedules. The council requested private medical summaries for review. Every request was wrapped in concern. Every concern was sharpened into control. Maya noticed what others missed. She noticed how Ethan's hands trembled more after each meeting. She noticed how Rosa tightened her jaw whenever Grant spoke. She noticed how Omar, the head of security, broad and silent, kept checking his phone like he was waiting for bad news. And she noticed the symbol. It appeared in small ways, carved into the underside of a wooden drawer in the conservatory, stitched into the corner of a pillow in the twins' reading nook, faintly etched into the brass handle of the library's rolling ladder. At first, she didn't say anything. She simply watched, collected, listened. One afternoon, she found me in the hallway outside the library. "Carlos," she said quietly, "you're a journalist. You know how to find the truth when people hide it." I studied her face. There was fear there, but also determination. "What did you find?" She hesitated, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. It was behind Noah's art shelf, taped underneath. She unfolded it carefully. On it, in elegant handwriting that made my chest tighten, were 4 words: "If they come, listen." "Elena," I whispered, before I could stop myself. Maya nodded. "I think she left instructions." I stared at the note, and the mansion around us seemed to hold its breath. The house was full of expensive things, but this scrap of paper felt like the most valuable object in it. "Why didn't you give it to Ethan?" I asked. Her eyes flicked toward the library door. "Because every time the trust comes here, they make him feel like he's already losing. And I'm scared he'll panic and show them everything before we understand what Eleanor was trying to protect." Her honesty hit me like cold water. She wasn't just thinking about clues. She was thinking about consequences. "Who are you really, Maya?" I asked gently. She looked away, and for a moment her voice lowered to something raw. "Someone who knows what it's like when a system decides your life in a room you're not allowed to enter." Later, she told me more. She hadn't grown up in mansions. She'd grown up in foster homes that smelled like bleach and silence, in rooms where you learned to pack quickly because attachments were temporary. Her mother, her only constant, had been sick for years, a slow illness that made every bill feel like a threat. Maya had bounced between jobs, always one late payment away from disaster. When she heard the Marlowes needed someone in the twins' wing, she applied even though she knew she'd be judged. Too new, too unknown, too poor for a world that liked its help invisible. "I can't lose this job," she admitted, voice shaking once and then steadying. "If I lose it, my mom loses her care. And she's all I have." That night, Maya sat alone in the small chapel tucked off the East Hall, a quiet room with stained glass and a simple wooden bench. The mansion had a chapel not for show, but because Elena had insisted that a house filled with grief needed a place to put it. I found Maya there, with her hands clasped, head bowed. "I'm not trying to be dramatic," she whispered when she saw me. I need help hearing what's true." I didn't interrupt. The chapel smelled like candle wax and old hymns. The light from the stained glass painted soft colors on Maya's face: blue, gold, rose. When she lifted her head, she looked different, like prayer hadn't solved anything, but had given her the strength to keep walking through it. The next clue came from Noah. He led Maya to the conservatory where plants flourished under glass ceilings. The air was humid and alive, filled with the scent of soil and green leaves. Noah moved straight to a small wooden music box on a shelf. He tapped it 3 times, then looked at Maya. She whispered, "God speaks in small places." Noah opened the music box. Inside, instead of jewelry, there was a tiny rolled strip of paper, tucked beneath the mechanism. Maya unfolded it with careful fingers. It wasn't a love letter, it was a warning. Rose garden, west bench. Not safe. Maya's breath caught. Not safe, she repeated softly. I felt a chill run down my arms, not because of danger in the dramatic sense, but because of the implication. Elena had been planning for something, anticipating something, protecting something. That evening, Grant cornered Maya near the kitchen. His voice was smooth. "Miss Caldwell," he said, "I understand you're settling in. A reminder, staff are not authorized to access private archives or personal safes. The council is very particular about boundaries." Maya smiled politely. "Of course." Grant's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he wasn't convinced by politeness. "Good. We'd hate for misunderstandings." When he walked away, Maya's hands trembled just once. Then she pressed them flat on the counter, grounding herself. "I've seen men like him," she murmured to Rosa later. "They call it boundaries when it's really fences." Rosa nodded, eyes fierce. "Elena always said fences keep love out too." That night, after the twins were asleep, Maya and I stood in the library with the lights dimmed, the fireplace unlit, the mansion quiet enough to hear its own bones creak. Maya ran her fingers along the spines of books, searching, not for titles, but for something hidden in the patterns Elena had left behind. Noah's symbol appeared again, carved faintly into the wood near one shelf. Maya pressed it gently, and the shelf shifted. Not much, just enough to reveal a slim gap. Behind it was a folded letter, sealed with a simple wax stamp, 3 loops. Maya broke the seal with a breath that sounded like fear and faith holding hands. Inside, Elena's handwriting flowed like a voice I could almost hear. "If you're reading this, it means they finally came for what they think belongs to them. The boys are not property. The truth is not an asset. If you want to keep them safe, follow the scent of roses. And do not trust anyone who calls love liability." Maya's eyes filled with tears she didn't wipe away, because in that moment she wasn't reading a clue. She was hearing a mother's voice reach through death to fight for her children. And somewhere in the house, beyond the library's heavy door, 3 soft knocks echoed again, tap, 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 like Elena herself was reminding us. The next step is closer than you think. Morning in the Marlowe mansion used to mean order. It used to mean Elena's voice humming somewhere between the kitchen and the garden. Used to mean sunlight catching on polished floors like a blessing. Now it meant tension in the air, so thick it felt like weather. The Trust Council was coming in person. They didn't announce it like a threat. They announced it like an appointment. A black SUV arrived first, then another. Shoes clicked on marble. Voices stayed low, respectful, as if respect could soften what they were doing. Ethan stood in the foyer with his shoulders squared, wearing a suit he looked uncomfortable in. He didn't belong in that version of himself anymore. Too formal, too guarded. He belonged in the soft sweaters he wore when he read to the twins, in the quiet moments when he let himself be a father instead of a fortress. Grant Holloway walked in first, followed by Marjorie Klein, chair of the Trust Council. Marjorie's hair was perfectly styled, her jewelry understated but expensive. Her smile was gentle, the kind of smile used on hospital posters and courtroom brochures, comforting until you realized it was designed. "Ethan," she said warmly, "thank you for accommodating us." Ethan's mouth tightened. "I didn't have a choice." Marjorie laughed softly, as if he'd made a joke. "This is about ensuring the boy's future. Elena would have wanted that." At the mention of Elena's name, something in Ethan's face flinched. It was subtle, but I saw it. Grief is a bruise you can't hide. Maya stood near the hallway to the twins' wing, careful, composed. She wasn't part of their meeting, but she was part of the house, and that mattered. She kept her hands clasped, posture straight, eyes attentive. In her pocket, she carried Elena's letter like it was a heartbeat. The council moved into the library as if they owned it. They placed folders on Elena's old desk. They spoke in phrases that sounded harmless until you listened closely. Risk management, emotional capacity, household stability. Ethan listened with the stillness of a man trying not to explode. At one point, Marjorie turned her gaze toward the hallway and asked, "How are the boys responding to the adjustment?" Ethan answered before anyone else could. "They're responding to love." Marjorie nodded as if that was charming. "Love is important," she said, "but love is not a legal plan." That sentence hit the room like a slap. I watched Ethan's fingers curl around the armrest of his chair. His knuckles went pale. He had built an empire from nothing. He had survived poverty, betrayal, competition. But this was different. Because you can fight for money with strategy. You can fight for power with influence. But how do you fight for love when the opponent has forms and policies and the ability to call your grief instability? Maya retreated to the twins' wing before the meeting ended. She didn't want Lucas and Noah to feel the coldness spreading through the mansion. She kept the playroom warm with music and quiet laughter, with colored pencils and stories. Lucas sat cross-legged on the star map rug, holding a stuffed bear. "Are they taking stuff?" he asked, blunt as always. "They're checking things," Maya said gently. "Grown-up stuff." Lucas's brow furrowed. "Grown-up stuff makes Dad sad." Noah sat at the art table drawing. He didn't look up, but his pencil pressed harder than usual. The symbol appeared again. 3 loops, then something new. A bench under roses and beside it a small shape that looked like a key. Maya leaned in. "Is that the west bench?" she asked softly. Noah nodded once. Lucas leaned closer, eyes wide. "Mom's bench?" Maya swallowed. "Maybe." Lucas's voice cracked sudden. "If Mom left something, why didn't she just tell Dad?" Maya's chest tightened. She wanted to answer with something comforting, something clean. But the truth was messy. Sometimes mothers hide things not because they don't trust love, but because they don't trust the world. Maybe she was trying to protect him, Maya said carefully. Maybe she knew he'd be watched. Noah pushed his drawing toward Maya, then tapped the drawn key. His eyes met hers, steady and serious. It wasn't a request. It was a direction. Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from the care facility that handled her mother's appointments. Payment due. Past due, technically. The numbers on the screen might as well have been a countdown. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the pressure settle on her shoulders. She couldn't lose this job. She couldn't lose her mom. She couldn't let the trust win. That afternoon, Maya met Rosa in the chapel again. Rosa lit a candle, the flame small but stubborn. The stained glass painted the room with gentle colors that felt like a promise. "I'm scared," Maya admitted, voice low. "Not of them, but of failing, of missing what Elena wanted, of being wrong." Rosa's eyes softened. "Faith isn't the absence of fear," she said. "It's walking while you're afraid." Maya let the words sink in, feeling them settle in her chest like a steady stone. She clasped her hands, not to make the fear disappear, but to keep it from controlling her. In my mind, I kept returning to Eleanor's letter. Follow the scent of roses. Do not trust anyone who calls love liability. The rose garden. That evening, when the council finally left, Ethan looked drained, like someone had siphoned the last of his strength through legal language. He stood in the foyer after their footsteps faded, staring at the closed doors as if he could still hear the threat echoing. "They want to inventory the attic tomorrow," he said to no one in particular. Maya's head snapped up. The attic? Grant had mentioned private archives. Attics are where families hide things. Old boxes, old letters, old truths. Maya's pulse quickened. Ethan rubbed his temple. "They say Elena's personal effects need to be catalogued. They said it's procedure." He laughed once, hollow. "Everything is procedure when you want to steal someone's past." Maya hesitated. "Ethan," she said, and it was the first time she used his name without Mr. Marlowe. Did Elena ever mention leaving something behind? Something meant to be found later? Ethan's eyes flicked toward the portrait in the library. She left everything, he whispered. She left the boys. She left me. The rawness in his voice made Maya flinch. She wanted to reach for him, to tell him he wasn't alone, but she knew grief could be like a locked door. You can't force it open without breaking something. Instead, she said, sometimes people leave messages in ways we don't recognize until we need them. Ethan stared at her, suspicious and desperate at the same time. What are you saying? Maya didn't have proof yet. She only had patterns, symbols, and a mother's handwriting. So she chose honesty without accusation. I'm saying Elena may have anticipated this, Maya said softly, and she may have tried to protect you. Ethan's jaw tightened. From whom? Maya glanced toward the library, toward where Marjorie Klein had sat and spoken Elena's name like a tool. From the people who pretend they're helping. Ethan's breath shook. For a moment he looked like he might break. Then he straightened, the billionaire shield slamming back into place. I can handle them, he said firmly. Maya didn't argue, because she knew something Ethan didn't. Wealth doesn't protect you from institutions. It only makes you a bigger target. That night, after the twins were asleep, Maya and Omar stood at the base of the attic stairs. Omar's expression was conflicted. You shouldn't be up there, he warned quietly. The council will say you tampered. I'm not stealing, Maya replied. I'm trying to keep a mother's voice from being buried under paperwork. Omar exhaled, slow. They scheduled a systems check tomorrow morning, he said. Brief power cycling, 10 minutes. Cameras reset. They'll be focused on their inventory lists. Maya stared at him. You're helping me. Omar's eyes held something like regret. Elena was kind to my daughter when she was sick, he said simply. That kind of kindness doesn't die. Maya's throat tightened. She nodded. Thank you. In the twins' wing, Lucas woke briefly and padded into the hallway in his socks, rubbing his eyes. He saw Maya and whispered, Are you going to Mum's bench? Maya crouched. Not yet, she said, but soon. Lucas blinked hard, fighting tears. Tell Mum. Tell her we still knock. Maya's heart cracked open. I will, she promised. Noah appeared behind Lucas, silent as a shadow, holding his sketchbook. He opened it to a new drawing, the rose garden bench, the key, and beneath it the symbol, 3 loops, surrounded by tiny dots like stars. Then he wrote one more word, careful and clear, tomorrow. Maya swallowed. Tomorrow, the council would inventory the attic. Tomorrow, the mansion's secrets would be boxed and labeled by people who didn't believe in love. Tomorrow was the day Elena's invisible will might be lost forever. And as Maya stared at Noah's drawing, she understood something with cold clarity. If we waited, the truth would be filed away, and the boy's future would be decided by strangers in suits. So Maya whispered to Noah and Lucas the words they had taught her, the words that sounded like a prayer and a key at the same time. God speaks in small places, she said, and in the quiet of the hallway, with the mansion holding its breath, 3 knocks echoed back, tap, 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 like the house itself was answering, then move. Now. The morning of the systems check arrived with grey light and a silence that felt staged, like the mansion knew it was being watched. Grant and the council's assistants set up in the library again, clipboards and barcode stickers ready. Marjorie Klein walked the halls as if inspecting a museum exhibit. Her voice stayed calm, warm, and deadly. We'll begin with storage, she said. Then personal effects. Then the attic. Ethan hovered near them, jaw clenched, trying to look like a man in control, while his home turned into a courtroom. Maya kept the twins in the playroom. She put on soft music. She laid out art supplies. She smiled for Lucas, spoke gently to Noah. But inside her chest, her heart hammered like a warning bell. 10 minutes. That's what Omar had said. 10 minutes of power cycling, 10 minutes where cameras reset, alarms rebooted, and the council's attention shifted to their devices instead of the house. When the lights flickered once, Maya felt her body tense. Omar appeared at the edge of the twins' wing, face unreadable. He didn't speak. He simply nodded. Maya walked to the hallway doorframe and tapped it 3 times. Tap, 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 then whispered, "God speaks in small places." Lucas ran up and hugged her waist so tightly it stole her breath. "Bring her voice back," he whispered into her sweater. Noah approached, held out a folded drawing, the key, the bench, the symbol. His eyes met hers, and in that steady gaze was something that looked like trust. Maya swallowed hard. "I will," she mouthed, though her voice threatened to break. Then she turned and moved. She didn't run. Running would make noise, panic, suspicion. She walked quickly but quietly through the main corridor, past the portrait of Elena, past the conservatory's glass glow, past the library doors where the council murmured. The mansion's floors were cool under her shoes, the air smelling faintly of roses and wood polish and old grief. The attic stairs were tucked behind a paneled door on the 3rd floor, narrow and steep. Omar waited there, holding a flashlight. "You have 5, he said under his breath. "The system check is shorter than they told us." Maya's stomach dropped. 5? Omar's eyes hardened. "Go!" Maya climbed. The attic door opened with a soft groan like the house protesting. Warm, dusty air rushed out. The attic smelled like old paper and cedar and time. Boxes were stacked in careful rows, labeled in Elena's handwriting, holiday decorations, childhood keepsakes, photo albums. The beam of Omar's flashlight swept across trunks and shelves and a small table covered with a lace cloth, as if even the attic had been kept with dignity. Maya's hands trembled as she scanned labels. EV, she thought. Elena Victoria Marlowe. If the initials on her old stationery were any clue, her fingers brushed a box marked simply Violets. Under it, tucked behind a trunk, she saw another, EV West. Her breath caught. She pulled it out. It wasn't heavy, but it felt like it contained a universe. The lid was sealed with tape and the 3-loop symbol drawn in pencil. Maya's throat tightened. "Elena," she whispered, as if speaking the name could steady her. She cut the tape with a small key Omar had given her. Not a blade, not anything violent, just a simple tool for a simple seal. The lid lifted. Inside was a stack of envelopes, a small recorder, and a velvet pouch. Maya's hands shook as she opened the pouch. Inside was a key, old brass, worn smooth from touch. Attached to it was a tag with Elena's handwriting, West Bench, for the boys. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back hard. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay." Then footsteps sounded below. Omar's flashlight snapped toward the attic door. "Maya!" he hissed, urgency cutting through his usual calm. A voice drifted up from the stairwell, Grant Holloway's voice, polite and sharp. "Omar, are you up there? We had a camera signal interruption." Maya's blood ran cold. The 5 minutes were over. Omar moved fast, stepping to the attic entrance, blocking the view. "System check. I'm verifying sensors," he called down, steady. Grant's footsteps climbed. "Open the door," he said. Tone still calm but no longer friendly. "We need to ensure compliance." Maya clutched the key in the recorder, heart pounding. She looked at Omar, panic rising. Omar's gaze held hers for 1 second. "Go behind the trunk," he murmured. "Stay quiet." This was the moment where everything could collapse, where fear could turn into a scene too dangerous, too messy. But Omar didn't let it. He moved with control. He opened the attic door wider and stepped up fully, making his body a barrier between Grant and the space beyond. Grant appeared, suit immaculate even on narrow stairs, eyes sharp. Behind him, one of Marjorie's assistants hovered with a tablet. "What is this?" Grant demanded. "Why weren't we informed?" Omar didn't flinch. "I'm security," he said. "I verify systems. That's my job." Grant's eyes flicked past him, scanning the attic. For a second, his gaze landed where Maya was crouched behind a trunk. Maya held her breath so hard it hurt. Grant's expression tightened. "Is there someone else up here?" Omar's voice stayed even. "No." Grant stepped forward, And in that second, Maya knew if Grant found her holding Elena's key, he would call it theft. He would label her a threat. He would use it to prove the household was unstable. A sound came from the hallway below, Lucas's laugh, faint but bright. It didn't belong in this tense moment, and somehow that made it more powerful. It reminded Maya what this was for. Not a box, not a key. Two boys who still knocked on door frames like prayer. Maya rose slightly, ready to step out and take whatever consequence came, because hiding felt like betrayal. But before she could move, a different voice cut through the stairwell. "Stop!" Ethan Marlowe. He was standing at the bottom of the attic stairs, having followed Grant's sudden departure from the library. His face was pale, eyes blazing. "What are you doing?" Ethan demanded, voice shaking with anger and fear. "Why are you in my attic?" Grant turned smoothly. "Mr. Marlowe, there was a camera interruption. Omar went to verify. We are ensuring nothing is disturbed before the inventory." Ethan's gaze snapped upward. "Disturbed? This is my home." Grant's tone stayed calm. "It's the trust's responsibility." "The trust's responsibility," Ethan repeated, bitter. "You mean your opportunity?" His eyes flicked past Omar, and for one terrible second, he saw Maya's shape behind the trunk. He saw her hand holding the old key. The look on Ethan's face changed. It wasn't cruelty. It was betrayal, raw and involuntary, the way someone reacts when they've been cornered too many times and don't know who to trust anymore. "Maya," Ethan said, voice breaking. What are you doing?" Maya stepped out slowly, hands visible, the key glinting in the flashlight beam. "I can explain," she said softly. Grant's eyes sharpened like a blade without a weapon. "Mr. Marlowe," he said, "this is exactly what we warned against. Unauthorized access, staff tampering with private archives. This raises serious concerns." Maya's stomach turned. This was the trap. Not a crime, not violence, just a narrative they could weaponize. Ethan's breathing turned uneven. He stared at the key as if it were a threat. "You went through Eleanor's things," he whispered, pain lacing each word. Maya's eyes filled. "I did," she admitted, "because Eleanor left a message, because she knew this would happen." Grant's smile returned, small and satisfied. "Elena left a message," he repeated, amused. "Mr. Marlowe, your staff member is claiming your late wife left secret instructions. This is concerning." Ethan's hands shook. His grief surged like a wave. "Enough!" he snapped. "Omar, escort her downstairs." Maya flinched as if slapped. Omar hesitated, torn. Ethan's voice cracked. "Please," he said, and that word wasn't power, it was panic. Omar moved slowly, guiding Maya down the stairs. Grant followed, already speaking into his phone, low and urgent. "We have an incident," he said. "Yes, unauthorized access. It supports the stability concerns." In the security office on the first floor, small room, monitors on the wall, the hum of electronics, Maya sat in a chair while Omar stood by the door. She clutched the recorder and the key, refusing to let go. Her mind raced, not with fear of punishment, but with fear of failure. If Elena's voice didn't reach Ethan now, it might never reach him. In the hallway outside, Lucas's voice rose, confused, frightened, but not helpless. "Where's Maya?" he called. "Where did you take her?" Noah's quiet footsteps followed, and then a soft, steady sound. 3 knocks on the security office doorframe. Tap, tap, tap. Maya's breath caught. Even here, even now, the ritual held. Lucas's voice came again, closer. "Dad, she didn't steal. She's our secret helper." Grant's voice answered, cold beneath politeness. "Children don't understand legal boundaries." Lucas shouted, heartbreak sharp. "You don't understand love." The words sliced through the hallway like a truth no folder could file away. Ethan's footsteps approached, fast now, like he was running from something inside himself. The door to the security office opened, and Ethan stood there, face torn between anger and grief and something that looked like terror. Maya looked up at him, eyes wet but steady. Ethan, she said softly, please, just listen. Elena wanted you to listen. She held up the recorder. Grant stepped forward. Mr. Marlowe, do not engage with this. We need to document. Ethan's gaze snapped to Grant. Get out, he said, voice low. Grant blinked, surprised. Excuse me? Ethan's voice rose, shaking. Get out of my house. Marjorie Klein appeared behind Grant, expression smooth. Ethan, she said soothing, you're emotional. This is why we... Ethan's eyes burned. Don't, he whispered. Don't say her name like you own it. Maya's fingers trembled as she pressed the recorder's button. A soft click, then Elena's voice filled the small room. Not loud, not dramatic, just her. Warm, steady, close enough to feel like she was standing beside us. If you're hearing this, Elena said, then it means they tried to turn my love into paperwork. Ethan, please, don't let them convince you grief is weakness. It's proof you loved me. And our boys, they are not a clause. They are a miracle. Follow the roses. Trust the small signs. And if you find Maya, keep her close. She will see what you can't right now. Ethan froze. His face crumpled, the billionaire shield shattering. The room seemed to tilt, as if the mansion itself leaned into here. Grant's mouth tightened. Marjorie's smile flickered. Maya's chest heaved with silent sobs, because Elena had named her. Elena had seen her coming, like a mother setting a lantern on a path before her children ever walked it. Ethan's eyes met Maya's, and in them was shock, guilt, and something dawning slowly, painfully. He had almost pushed away the one person Elena had sent to help. And just as Ethan took a step toward Maya, just as the truth began to settle, Marjorie lifted her chin and said, crisp and final, "This recording will be reviewed by counsel. And until then, Mr. Marlowe, the stability review remains active." The system didn't stop just because a mother spoke. It tightened its grip. And Ethan Marlowe, standing in that small security office with Elena's voice echoing through his grief, made a choice that would change everything. Either he would fight with money and lose with pride, or he would fight with humility and finally win with love. Ethan didn't answer Marjorie immediately. He just stood there, breathing like each inhale was something he had to earn. Eleanor's voice still hung in the air, soft as perfume, strong as steel. For a moment, the security office felt too small to hold what was happening. Too small for grief, truth, and the weight of a mother's plan. Marjorie's expression stayed composed. "We are not your enemy," she said, voice smooth. "We are safeguarding the children." Ethan's eyes flicked to the hallway where Lucas and Noah stood. Lucas's cheeks were wet. Noah held his sketchbook like a lifeline. Two boys, 9 years old, watching adults decide whether love counted. Ethan's voice came out rough. "Safeguarding," he repeated. "You mean supervising." Grant stepped forward, careful. "Mr. Marlowe, we need to maintain procedure." Ethan laughed once, hollow. "Procedure didn't hold my wife's hand when she couldn't sleep. Procedure didn't sit on the floor and draw symbols with my son when words were hard. Procedure didn't keep this house warm after Elena died." Marjorie's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your grief is understandable, Ethan, but grief can impair judgment." That word, impair, hit like poison. Ethan turned toward Maya. She was still seated, clutching the key and the recorder, shoulders trembling but spine straight. And in Ethan's face, I saw the battle. Pride trying to survive, guilt trying to confess, love trying to lead. Then to everyone's shock, Ethan Marlowe moved. He walked into the security office, closed the door behind him, and in one slow motion, he lowered himself to his knees in front of Maya Caldwell, a billionaire on marble tile. A father kneeling in front of the woman the system wanted to paint as a problem. Maya gasped, hands flying to her mouth. "Ethan, please." "No," Ethan whispered, voice breaking open. "I've said please to the wrong people for months." His eyes shone with tears he didn't try to hide. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry I didn't trust you. I'm sorry I let them make me doubt everyone." "Elena, Elena told me to listen, and I—" His voice cracked. "I almost silenced her by silencing you." Maya's tears fell freely now. "I didn't want to go behind your back," she whispered. I saw the pattern. I saw the symbol. I saw how they were circling you, and I couldn't let them take the boys." Ethan bowed his head, still kneeling. "Don't leave," he said, and it wasn't a command. It was a plea, raw and human. "I don't know how to do this without Elena, and I don't know how to do it alone. Please." For a heartbeat, the mansion's hum seemed to quiet, as if even the walls were listening. Maya reached out, hesitant, and placed her hand gently on Ethan's shoulder. "I won't leave," she said, voice shaking. "Not because I'm trapped here. Because Elena was right. The boys need someone who listens, and you need someone who reminds you you're still a father, not a case file." Outside the office, Omar stood firm by the door, blocking Grant and Marjorie from entering. "Mr. Marlowe requested privacy," Omar said evenly. Grant's voice sharpened. "This is unacceptable." Omar didn't move. "So is threatening children with paperwork," he replied, and the sentence landed like a door locking. In the hallway, Lucas stepped closer to Noah and whispered, "Do the knocks." Noah lifted his small hand and tapped the door frame 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Maya, still inside, heard it. Her breath caught. She whispered softly, almost involuntarily, "God speaks in small places." Lucas smiled through tears. "See," he told Noah, "she's still ours." Ethan heard it too. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't look like a man trying to outrun grief. He looked like a man learning to carry it. Maya stood, wiping her cheeks, and held up the key. "Elena said, 'Follow the roses,'" she said. Ethan swallowed hard. "The west bench," he murmured, remembering the garden Elena loved. They moved through the mansion together. Ethan, Maya, Omar, and the twins. Grant and Marjorie followed at a distance, forced to keep their voices low because the children were present and because public cruelty looks worse when it has witnesses. The rose garden was cool and damp, petals heavy with morning dew. The scent was real and immediate, wrapping around us like a memory. Birds called from the cypress trees. A fountain murmured. Elena's bench sat beneath a climbing rose arch, its wood worn smooth by years of her hands, her quiet afternoons, her whispered prayers. Maya knelt and slid the key into a small brass lock hidden beneath the bench's armrest. The latch clicked open with a soft sound that felt like a secret exhaling. Inside the bench was a slim metal box. Maya lifted it carefully and handed it to Ethan. Ethan's hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were 3 things: a letter addressed to the twins, a letter addressed to Ethan, and a sealed envelope stamped with the 3-loop symbol and marked, "Trust Council for Public Record." Grant's breath hitched. Marjorie's face tightened. Ethan opened the letter to himself first. His eyes moved across Elena's handwriting, and his face changed with every line. Pain, love, shock, and then something like fierce clarity. I watched him read in silence, and I could almost hear Elena's voice in the spaces between his breaths. Finally, Ethan looked up at Marjorie and Grant. His voice was steady now, not because he wasn't hurting, but because he knew what he was fighting for. "Elena documented everything," he said. "Every time the council tried to push her to sign revisions, every time they argued about non-traditional heirs, every time they suggested the boys' needs were financial risks. She recorded meetings. She kept emails. She kept copies." Grant stiffened. "Those records are privileged." Ethan lifted the envelope marked "For Public Record." "Not anymore," he said. Marjorie's smile didn't return this time. "Ethan," she warned softly, "if you escalate—" "I'm done being managed," Ethan replied. Maya's stomach tightened. This wasn't a fight with fists, it was a fight with truth. And truth, when aimed at the right place, can be louder than any weapon. Ethan turned to Maya. "You saved this," he said quietly. "You saved Elena's voice." Maya swallowed. "I just listened," she whispered. Ethan nodded, eyes wet. That's what I forgot how to do. He opened the letter addressed to the twins, and his hands shook so badly, Maya steadied the paper for him. He read aloud, voice breaking, "My Noah, my Lucas, if you're reading this, it means you are big enough to understand what I tried to do for you. I hid things in small places because big systems can't see small love. I made a plan not because I was afraid of your father, but because I was afraid of the world trying to measure you. You are not measured. You are loved." Lucas pressed his face into Ethan's side and sobbed, the kind of honest crying that doesn't try to look strong. Noah stared at the letter, then at Ethan's face, and something in Noah's expression shifted, like a locked door cracking open. Ethan continued, voice raw, "And Ethan, if you feel alone, look at the boys. They carry my light. And if you want to know where my heart is, it's in the sound you make when you laugh with them. That is where I live now." Ethan stopped reading. His shoulders shook. He tried to swallow the grief, but it rose anyway, unstoppable. Maya stepped closer, her hand hovering near his back, not touching unless invited. Ethan leaned slightly toward her, allowing the support without pride resisting it. That small movement felt like a miracle, not a medical one, not a dramatic one, just a human one. Marjorie cleared her throat. "This changes nothing about protocol," she said, but her voice lacked certainty now. Ethan turned to her, eyes hard with clarity. "It changes everything," he said, "because Elena's plan included a condition you tried to bury." Grant's eyes narrowed. "What condition?" Ethan held up Elena's letter. "Any stability review must include direct testimony from the boys' primary caregivers and must consider the children's expressed comfort and attachment. Elena wrote it into her foundation bylaws and into the trust's ethical compliance clause." Marjorie's composure cracked. "Children cannot testify. They can be heard," Ethan snapped, "and that's the whole point." He looked down at Noah and Lucas. His voice softened. "Do you feel safe here?" he asked. Lucas nodded fiercely, wiping his cheeks. "This is our hallway," he said. "Our mom smells here." Ethan's throat tightened. He turned to Noah. "Noah?" Noah looked at his sketchbook, then at Ethan's face. His lips parted, and for a moment I thought nothing would come. Then Noah took a breath, and in a voice so small it almost disappeared, he said a single word, "Home." Ethan's face crumpled. He dropped to his knees again, not for show, not for power, but because his body could no longer hold the weight standing up. He gathered both boys into his arms, holding them like he was anchoring himself to the only thing that mattered. Behind us, the council's power felt suddenly less solid. Institutions depend on silence. Elena had left the opposite, a trail of small, undeniable voices. In the days that followed, the mansion shifted. Not because grief vanished, it didn't, but because truth moved in like fresh air. Ethan's legal team filed Elena's records the right way, publicly and transparently, without tricks, without fraud, just truth. The council was forced to pause the stability review, pending external oversight. Marjorie's tone changed overnight. Grant's confidence thinned when sunlight hit the paper trail Elena had saved. Maya stayed. She didn't become a saint in the story. She became what she already was, a woman with bills and fear and a mother who needed care, showing up anyway. One evening, Ethan found Maya in the kitchen, staring at her phone, shoulders tense. He didn't ask questions. He simply set an envelope on the counter. "What's this?" she asked, startled. "A contract," Ethan said. "With fair pay, full benefits, and time off when your mother needs you." He paused, voice quieter, "and a donation to her care facility in her name, not as charity, as gratitude." Maya's eyes filled. "Ethan, I can't—" "Yes, you can," Ethan interrupted gently. "Because Elena was right. You were sent here, and I'm done letting pride pretend I don't need help." Maya covered her mouth, crying quietly. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan's gaze flicked toward the twins' wing. "They've been asking for you," he admitted. "They knock on door frames and wait for your words." Maya smiled through tears. Then I better not keep them waiting. Later, in the twins' art room, Noah sat beside Ethan at the table, sketchbook open. Lucas perched on Ethan's lap like he belonged there, which he did. Maya sat across from them, hands folded, watching as father and sons drew together in the warm light. Noah drew the symbol again, 3 loops, then drew a heart beside it. Not perfect, not symmetrical, but real. Lucas leaned in and said softly, "Mom's heart." Ethan's voice shook. "Yes." Noah looked at Ethan's face, studying him like he always did. Then he reached out and placed his small hand on Ethan's chest, right over his heart. He closed his eyes for a moment, as if listening with more than ears. Ethan held completely still. Noah opened his eyes and whispered, clear enough to break everyone in the room in the gentlest way, "Dad, I can hear your heart." Ethan made a sound that wasn't quite a sob and wasn't quite a laugh. He pressed his forehead to Noah's and stayed there, breathing, letting love be louder than the system. And that's where I'll leave you. With a father who finally learned that money can build walls, but only listening can build a home. With 2 boys whose small voices moved mountains, and with a mother's love that refused to be filed away. If this story touched you, take a moment before you go. When life gets heavy and the world feels too loud, where do you think love hides? In the big gestures or in the small places? And I want to ask you, truly, what small sign have you ignored lately that might actually be guiding you back to what matters most?